Hello everyone and welcome back to Bordering Politics. Today we're tackling a big topic. This is the difference between US Congress and Canadian Parliament. Now this video is not going to give you a full education of every little detail, absolutely not, but it will give you a good understanding of the key factors and the key differences between these two powerhouses that shape law on either side of the border. So I'm going to explain the structure, the powers and abilities, and what they mean for policies like trade or climate, whatever. So let's figure out what makes these systems tick. From trade deals with other countries to tax cuts that affect the domestic population, Congress and Parliament are calling the shots. So understanding their differences is going to show us why some policies pass and other policies fail to pass in each country. So first off, let's think about the structure and powers of the US Congress. So it's a bicameral system, meaning there's two chambers. You have the House of Representatives, and then you have the Senate. So the House has 435 members, elected every 2 years based on population, which means larger states get more seats. The Senate has 100 members, 2 per state, elected for 6-year terms. What makes Congress unique is its independence. Each chamber has serious power. Think of passing laws, approving budgets, or impeaching a president. But the catch here is that the chambers aren't always in agreement. The House moves pretty fast, and the Senate, through filibuster, can grind things to a halt. Congress doesn't necessarily bow down to the president. It's a co-equal branch, which means it can override vetoes from the president or block executive plans. So that's why you hear about gridlock. It's basically built into the system. Now, thinking about Canada's system, the parliamentary system, it's also bicameral. It has a House of Commons and it has a Senate. So the House has 343 elected members of Parliament based on population, 1 from each riding. Elections are variable and also fixed, so they can get called early, but a government can't go on forever without having an election. There's some kind of contrasting stipulations there. The Senate is a different story. There's 105 senators appointed by the Governor General on the Prime Minister's advice, which is kind of a symbolic thing, and they serve until age 75. So they review laws, but unlike the US Senate, they rarely block bills. And why is that? It's because the House is designed to really have the power. So in Canada, the Prime Minister's party or coalition of parties, they're the ones that drive the overall agenda. So if they've got a majority, bills pretty much sail through. If they have a minority, it's a lot harder. It's less independent than Congress, and it's more top-down. So how do these two systems make their laws? So in the US, a bill needs both the House and Senate approval, and then it gets the president's signature. And veto points, like the filibuster or presidential veto, makes it a gauntlet to get that law passed through. A single senator can stall, and reconciling House and Senate takes a lot of negotiations. Canada's process is a little bit smoother, for better or for worse. A bill goes through 3 readings in the House, committee tweaks it, and then the Senate reviews it finally. If the government has that majority, it's going to be a lot easier to pass that law. Again, minority governments need more cooperation. The bottom line is that the US laws face more hurdles, and Canada's they don't always, but they can move faster. So then thinking about party systems, the party dynamic is huge. Obviously, the US notoriously has a 2-party system, and this fuels polarization and makes compromise really tough. Canada's multi-party system can be a bit livelier. You have the Liberals, the Conservatives, the NDP, Bloc, and Greens. They all compete, but the Liberals and Conservatives are really the only serious contenders to a lot of people. And this allows for a greater chance of coalition building, again, for better or for worse. You can have various team configurations here. It's less gridlocked, but it can be very unstable, like when members cross the floor or there's a snap election held just literally in an instant. So how do these two systems affect one another? You have cross-border policies on trade or climate, and they depend on these systems. So for example, you have the USMCA trade deal. Congress's gridlock delayed it, and then Canada's government kind of tried to push it through. So we've seen Canada drop tariffs after US pressure, but Congress can still throw out these curveballs. So the US checks and balances slow things down and at times can force debate. Canada's efficiency can get results a bit quicker, but it risks centralized power. And these differences can affect how well the two nations end up working together. So this was by no means exhaustive, but that's the general picture here. The US might be criticized for being really slow. Canada might be criticized for having too much centralized authority. Those are kind of the key things. Well, I want to encourage you to hit subscribe if you haven't already, and thank you so much for watching.